What's good, everyone? Today I'm going to be doing an updated version of my favourite AFL teams. I've done a video like this before in the past. Opinions change, and over time, since the last time I've done this video, opinions for different sort of teams have changed over the past. So what I've decided to do in this video, to make an updated version, I'll be standing up and I'll be going through it in listicle order from favourite team to least favourite team. So let's get right into it, and of course we'll start off with my favourite team at number one. And even if you didn't know what team I supported before the video, you will now, because I'm wearing this St Kilda jumper, and yes, it is St Kilda. St Kilda is a team I've supported since I was born. To be honest though, at times I wish sometimes I wasn't a Saints supporter, and currently with the way we're going, it's just another year disappointment for the Saints. But for those wondering, positions of where teams further on in the list will be ranked will depend a lot on the team that I support. So yeah, that's just the way it's going to go. Now moving into second place, my second favourite team, it used to be the Western Bulldogs. It's now the Gold Coast Suns. The Suns I used to not really like them that much. I used to think they were just that average, middle of the road, mediocre side in my opinion. They sort of still are a bit of a mediocre nothing side, but I like the way they're going now with the crop of young players. I think this is their best year in their franchise this year. I think they did record 10 wins. So I don't know, every time the Suns have been on, I've enjoyed watching them play. I've always wanted them to do well. And a side that still hasn't made the finals yet in their history, I definitely want them to achieve that feat very soon. My third favourite team is the Western Bulldogs. I still like the Dogs, even though as of late they have smashed us a couple of times. But so the reason why I've always liked the Dogs is that they're a sort of similar club to the Saints. Bit of a nothing side, a bit of a smaller Vic side that haven't really had too much success whatsoever. Even though the Saints did beat them in those prelims, I sort of felt bad for them a little bit in 2009 and especially 2010 because I was still 7, so I didn't really have as much passion to the club that I do now. But yeah, the Dogs, I like their colours, I like their fans, I like their plays for the most part. And still to this day, my favourite animal is a dog, so that obviously helps the cause as well. So the Dogs are a team that I'm probably never going to hate unless they do something to really affect the Saints. Next up on the list is my fourth favourite team, and another team that's gone up a few rankings for myself is the Fremantle Dockers. And for once, the Dockers are actually a good team this year. So in previous years, I just didn't enjoy watching the Dockers play. They were so slow, lethargic. I just didn't enjoy watching Freo play at all. Whenever the Dockers were on, I'm like, geez, this is just going to be a really boring game of footy. But now, since they've sort of changed things around under Longmire this year, they're playing a much more enjoyable attacking brand of footy, the Dockers. Again, the Dockers are sort of a club that haven't really had too much success, and this would be commonly recurring for teams throughout the video. But the Dockers yet to win a flag. I would love them to win a flag sooner rather than later. So hashtag flag mantle. I like the Dockers. I like their fans. I have them in fourth. In number 5, my fifth favourite team is the Melbourne Demons. I've gone down a couple of rankings because as of late, the D's have been a side that I've just been a little bit annoyed about because they're just so good now and they're playing with a defensive mindset. So when teams play with a mindset like that, it's a little bit boring to watch games when there isn't as much scoring going on. But again, just like the Dockers, the Dogs and the Suns, for the most part, they haven't really had too much success as of late, and particularly in the early 2000s and the 2010s, they were just bottom feeders. They've got a good fan base with good supporters such as Caden, McCleary, Duxie, Disco, the Backyard Charizard, to name a few. To be honest, let's just hope the D's don't win too many more flags, otherwise they're probably going to go down a few rankings, as you'll notice for a few teams later in this video. In sixth spot, to round out the teams that I like, we've got the Sydney Swans. Now this might come as a surprise to a few people, because why would I go for the Swans, a team that have always been up there, and normally teams that have been successful are teams that I don't really like. But there's just something about Sydney that I've never really hated about, even when they were good. Okay, maybe when they were good, I actually didn't really like them that much. But now that they've got sort of a rejuvenated squad with all this young talent, I really just enjoy the way the Swans are going about it. And at the moment, watching Sydney play, it's really exciting. They're able to put on a very big score. And even though we haven't been able to beat the Swans at the SCG in ages, I don't know. Just something about the Swans. I've never come across a bad Sydney fan. And the Swans, for mine, round out the teams that I like. Now moving into the teams that I don't mind, these are sort of the teams I don't really have a problem with. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. They're sort of just in the middle. In seventh spot, the team in this category that I like the most, we've got Carlton, and sort of following a similar pattern. Again, Carlton are a team that just haven't had too much success. They're very similar to the Saints, and particularly this season with such a good start to the season and then fading away so badly. I just sort of feel bad for Blues. I don't mind them. Of the big clubs, the Blues are the team that I love the most. And you could argue, thanks to Blue Abroad, I've been watching a lot of their content. They do really good stuff. I've come to like the Blues a lot more compared to other big Vic fan bases. I hate the Carlton fan base the least, I'd have to say. But, with every big fan base, you're going to get poor supporters. And I do know a few Carlton supporters that really piss me off. But still, for the Blues, I don't really have anything against them. Only when they play the Saints. When they play the Saints, I hate the Blues. But other than that, I hope the Blues go well. They're my 7th favourite team. Now in 8th spot, we've got North Melbourne. Now this sort of is a team that I feel bad for at the moment. I've really had nothing against the Roos. I've never really liked them, but I've never really hated them because there hasn't really been a reason for me to hate the Roos. We haven't played North Melbourne in a final that I can remember, and they haven't really done anything to affect me as a Saints fan. It's just been like a mess side that have just never really been that good. Have a pretty small supporter base. Again, haven't really had too much success in the modern era, so I hope they can turn things around and do alright in the future. Got really nothing against North Melbourne. They're my 8th favourite team. We move into 9th spot and we've got the GWS Giants. I used to have them quite higher up in my rankings in previous videos due to the fact that they've just been so poor as of late, and they've become such a nothing side now. Now, I know they didn't really have much of a fan base back then, but at least they were making finals and grand finals, and in the Richmond grand final, I definitely was supporting the Giants in that one, but unfortunately, yeah, they've just come to mediocrity, and they're just such an average team now, the Giants. I just don't really like watching them play. But again, with the Giants, I have nothing against them. They've got a very small supporter base, so there aren't really going to be many Giants fans pissing me off. So yeah, I reckon for the next few years, the Giants are going to be that side that I'm always going to really have around that middle tier. In 10th place, I've got the Adelaide Crows to round out the team that I don't mind. The Crows, in previous years, I've definitely hated the Crows a lot more than I do now, particularly considering that in 2016, I went to Adelaide to watch the Crows play the Saints, and we got done by 91 points. I'll be honest, a few of their supporters were a bit feral, to be fair, and yeah, that was sort of around the time that the Crows were just really good, and it was a time where we weren't able to beat the Crows for a very long time. I think we broke that streak in 2020, but now the Crows, they're not as good as they were back in those days, but you know, at times I can get around the Crows this year, because even though they don't have the most skillful plays, they always give it a crack, and more often than not, particularly at the Adelaide Oval, you're going to see a lot of exciting Adelaide games. Now we're going to start the list with the teams that I don't like. I don't hate them, but I don't really like them that much anymore. And to kick the teams off, we've got in 11th spot, my 11th favourite team, we have Port Adelaide. I used to like them a bit more than I do now, but now they're just a team that have really annoyed me as of late, and maybe it is due to the fact that in recent years we've just never been able to beat the Power. I don't remember the last time I've been to an AFL game where the Saints have beaten the Power. It's been that long. We all know what happened this year against the Power at Kazali's. Grobby Gray always breaks my heart, and it's just sort of frustrating now with the Power. I don't like the Power as much as I used to, but they're not a team that I'll ever really hate, I don't think, especially considering I'm not really from South Australia. Another team that has slipped quite down in my rankings from previous years, we've got the Brisbane Lions as my 12th favourite team. And because now they've just become an annoying team that have always been up there in the top 4, but have never really been able to do anything. In my first video that I did, I had the Lions quite high up because that was the first year they finally became good. And we all rode the wave. We all really wanted the Lions to do very well. But now they've been in the top 4 for the last 4 years, I've started to become a little bit sick of the Lions because they can never really break it through to the prelims or the granny. And, you know, you've got some bandwagon supporters. And you've also got a few players as of late that have really, really annoyed me, that have made me dislike the Lions even more. My 13th favourite team, I have the West Coast Eagles. I've never really been that big of a fan of the Eagles, and to be honest, I'll probably like them a little bit more now, the fact that they're not very good and you can get a free win out of West Coast. But then again, you watch West Coast on the TV and you're never really going to get a close game, which can also sort of be annoying. But again, with West Coast, they've got a big supporter base and a lot of fans are quite annoying, to be honest. In the comment section, you got West Coast fans always attacking you. They've been good for so long, and when they were good, I wasn't really a fan of that either. I don't know, something about the Eagles, definitely don't like them as much as Freo, because I guess Freo haven't really had as much success as the Eagles, and they've won 4 flags, the Eagles. So because of that, Eagles are in 13th. I don't hate them, but I don't really like them. And rounding out the teams that I don't like, we've got Collingwood as my 14th favourite team. The Pies are a team that you're never going to like. The Pies are the Manchester United of the AFL. You're not going to expect any people to like the Pies alone, let alone not hate them. And for the Pies, they would have been in the hate spot probably a year ago. I think if you watched my video last year, they would have probably been lower. But this year, I've definitely liked the Pies, probably the most I've ever liked them in any season, because of just the way they play. Every Pies game, you're almost guaranteed a close game of footy. They just play with a never say die attitude, the Pies players, and I just like the way they go about it, always wanting to get a win, never giving up. And I really like Craig McRae. He's one of my favourite coaches in the AFL. Yes, you know, you're going to get Pies fans that no one really likes, and let's be real, Pies fans are arguably one of the worst fan bases in the competition, particularly at the moment. They're quite cocky and all that, but fair enough. Let them have their success. But yeah, the Pies, I don't really hate them that much as I used to anymore. I'm still never going to like them. It's Collingwood, so don't expect me to have many higher Pies fans throughout the coming years. So we've got 4 teams to go, and we are going to now get into the teams that I hate. If you're a fan of the 4 teams I'm about to mention, I've got nothing against you personally. They're just teams that I've never really liked, and I thought it'd be better for the video if I label them as hate. But I don't probably hate any team, to be honest. But anyways, we kick off the list in 15th spot as my 4th least favourite team. we have the Richmond Tigers. It's a bit of an interesting one because 4 or 5 years ago, when Richmond won the flag, they were probably my second or third favourite team because of the fact that they didn't have much success. I actually got around the Tigers, but now that they've just been up there for so long, winning flags, like, good on them. But as supporter base of any other team, you're going to get sick of that, and I have gotten sick of it over time. The Tigers have just always been up there, and some of their supporters, not only are they cocky, but they're sooks as well. Like, oh, Richmond fans don't want to go to Marvel Stadium, don't want to travel that extra couple kilometres. All of those reasons have made me not really like the Tigers, and to be honest, I probably have to put them in hate because, again, they beat the Lions. That's probably the final straw. They beat the Lions when I needed them to lose for the Saints' sake, and there's a great chance that the Tigers could be the reason why we don't make the finals, although, let's be real, we don't deserve to make it anyways. But still, Richmond, I'm sorry, but you kick up the list in hate. In 16th spot, and my third least favourite side, we've got Hawthorn. Now, I never really liked the Hawks. That's probably because back in the day, they were a very good side. They won 3 flags in a row, of course, and that's sort of just stuck with me, that culture of always expecting the best. And Hawks fans, they are quite cocky. I know a couple of Hawks fans that don't really follow AFL that much and don't really watch the games. And if they're doing poorly, they don't watch any of the games, and they still like to give me, as a Saints fan, crap when we don't do well, yet they don't even watch the games themselves. And with personal experiences, the Hawks fans that I've interacted with, a lot of them, they sort of switch off when they're not playing well, but when they're good again, Hawks fans are up and about. Now we head to my 2 least favourite sides, the final 2, and if you're fans of these 2 teams, and know me well, you're probably expecting your team to be in the final 2 spots of this video. But we start off with 17th spot, and we have Essendon as my second least favourite side. And I'll be honest, they've done a very good job of not finishing last because they would have finished last probably a week or 2 ago. I've never liked the Bombers. Their supporters are arguably the worst in the league. You know, they booed Pendlebury in 2019. They've done other stuff, obviously. I know a few Essendon supporters that, to be honest, they support their club, but they also like to support all these other clubs when the Bombers aren't doing well themselves. And even though the common trend of this video has been putting teams that haven't had too much success up the top, and the Bombers haven't won a final since 2004, the Bombers are just a different side. I don't know what it is about the Bombers, but I've just never liked them. And every time we seem to play them, we get smashed even when they're shit. Like, obviously, this year and then last year, they beat us by 75 points. And, yeah, the Bombers, I'm sorry, but, yeah, I don't like the Bombers at all. And if I have to say I hate a team, you'd probably have to say I hate Essendon. So this is sort of what everyone's been waiting for. And if you've been going through the teams through process of elimination, you'll know which team I have in last. And that is Geelong. They're my least favourite side officially at the moment. Yeah, I reckon the recent trip to GMHBA has confirmed that. I actually don't really hate their supporters. I mean, a few of them are quite cocky, always going on about how they're on top of the ladder, that they're doing the best, this and that. Considering that the Saints, we haven't made a proper final series since 2011. And the Cats seem to make it up the top every single year. And let's be real, any other fan base would be sick of that. I don't think there are too many people that like the Cats, or that sole reason they're low. The GMHBA Stadium, the whole experience, all the Cats fans. I was the only Saints fan in that stand, and the Cats, of course, did what they did in the second half. It's always the same with Geelong. I've never been a fan of the Cats, obviously, ever since they beat us in the grand final. And unfortunately for the Cats, they are going to round out the list in last place as the team that I like the least currently as of this moment. Anyways, that was my list. Hopefully there aren't any hard feelings for anyone watching this video. If you support any of the sides that I had in sort of the hate bracket, don't think that I don't like you as a person. Don't unsubscribe. But again, there's the video, the updated version for those who want to know which teams like the most and the least. So anyone who asks me in the live streams, I'm just going to link them this video so it saves me from having to explain myself. But again, as I said before, thanks everyone for watching. If you're new to the channel, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you soon in my next video. Cheers.